Okay, so thoracic position, I'm going to just alter slightly. I'm going to ask you to just draw your neck back slightly, not too much. Over here, she's giving me a bit of a poke, and over here, she's doing a wing. So that whole medial border of the shoulder blade is coming out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll her shoulder back, and I'm going to take this bottom point of the shoulder blade. I'm just going to push it in towards her rib cage for her, and almost like I'm forcing it to go under her arm. At the same time, this is going to be soft. If she does that and this pops out, it means she didn't do shoulder disassociation, where the shoulder or the arm actually has to relax in the socket while the blade is moving. From there, I'm going to ask her to do flexion in her arm. As she does flexion in her arm, I don't want to see too much work in the pec major. The pec major has to work slightly because the upper fibers do flexion, but I don't want to see that this arm juts too far forward. So I'm going to ask her to just draw it back slightly. There we go. And as she draws it back, I still keep this bottom point of the shoulder blade under her arm. No elevation, minimal elevation. So what I want to see is that the shoulder blade or the shoulder is heavy and the arm is light. So I'm going to ask her to rest her arm in my hand and just really drop that shoulder blade down. From there, as she takes the arm up, I don't want that elevation to happen. So the arm goes up and the shoulder blade actually scoots even further under the arm because that serratus anterior does like almost the last 60 degrees of flexion. But over here, there's still a little bit too much work, so I'm going to ask you to drop her arm into her shoulder joint. And you can see how, there we go, perfect. From there, we're going to go into that abduction. So we're going to, don't put it out of your socket too much because that's pec. So I'm just going to dissociate in the shoulder. We're just going to take the arm down to there. I'm going to ask him to go into that horizontal adduction. And again, it's like she's got to keep that connection of that arm into the socket. And then reach it out again for you, taking it out. Good. Arm stays up. That lateral rotation just encourages that shoulder blade to just stay under. From there, most people will actually go into adduction of the shoulder blade, and then they'll go into pec when they take the arm further out. So you've just got to make sure that this is back, and this is inwards. From there, I'm going to ask you to take her arm forward. She's going to drop the arm down, and we're going to go into extension of the arm. There to stop. So over here, you can see she's going into a poke. And what's happened is her shoulder blade is actually almost anteriorly tilted. So her pec minor is dominating that movement, and she's lost her serratus anterior and lower trapezius. So this is because she's not disassociating in the shoulder joint. So if I just keep that there, she makes this arm light, and she just drops it down, it's much better. From there, I'm going to ask her to reach her arm backwards. As it goes backwards, it does a little bit of adduction, but depending on the flexibility of the bicep and the anterior deltoid and the upper fiber of the pecs, she might end up going into elevation of the shoulder blade sooner than what she should because it's going to do a little bit of elevation. We should have about 45 to 60 degrees natural extension in the shoulder joint. So now she's gone into that elevation, so that range is too much for her. So all I'm going to do is just take her arm a little bit further out, bring it a bit lower down, and just get that slight contraction in that serratus anterior again. So it's not in its most concentric form, but it's holding on in a more eccentric position. And then gently just bring the arm back down. If we take two arms to the front, so both arms reach. Reaching the arm out of the socket as we open the arms out to the side. The shoulder blades stay apart, but without that pec, so we encourage a little bit of that thoracic extension. And gently disassociating the shoulder and bringing the arms back. Taking the arms up. The elevation should be minimal, and the range will be dependent on the flexibility of lats, posterior deltoid, and long hip and tricep. We've got to think of scooping this under the arm. Elevation of upper traps should only be evident if the exercise is really difficult, or I've got like a 5 kilogram weight or even a little bit lighter in the hands. From there, she's just gently got to float the arms down. Nothing changes in the shoulder blade. It goes from abduction, and it just slightly comes into that neutral position, which is normal, but there's no winging or poking in the shoulder.